Season 6, Episode 35 of The Focus TV. We're here, as always, with Octavia White. We got Cardo Dudley Jr., Wilson Tarpe Jr., and you guys know how this goes. Going to get through some NFC East, talk some Mystics, update on DC United, and see what the world of sports brings to our table via Cardell in rapid fire. So, Octavia, I said it a little bit earlier before we got going. It's roster cut down day, which means we're just that much closer. So the show's starting.
Yes, finally. We're finally almost there. This is probably going to be the hardest week because now there's nothing. We're used to having 4 preseason games the last couple of years outside of last year and this year, of course. So this week will just be basically everybody's week to prepare for their first game, which will be the first game of the season is September 7th, Thursday night, Chiefs and Lions. So that'll be the start of the season. All of our teams in NFC East get started that Sunday. But yes, like you stated, today was roster cut down day. In the past, they were gradual cuts. But now and going forward, all cuts just need to be done by today to get your team down to the 53-man roster. So I'll start with Washington. Like I said, I won't go too deep into preseason games. It was the 3rd preseason game. You know, people played. It is what it is. But just so you know, the scores, the Washington Commanders did play the Cincinnati Bengals. They defeated the Bengals 21-19. But again, roster cuts. There's been a lot of cuts that's happened in order to get these teams down to the 53-man roster. I'll start with, I'm going to try to get through them as fast as possible. They waived or released wide receiver and returner Casimir Allen, offensive lineman Tyler Larson, defensive end Will Bradley King, offensive lineman Alex Akumbulu, defensive tackle Abdullah Anderson, tight end fullback Alex Arma, tackle Jared Jones-Smith, guard Nolan Lefenberg, defensive tackle Benning Potato. That's what I say, like potato. Safety Kendall Smith, wide receiver Brendan Tremaine, quarterback Jace Whitaker, safety Terrell Burgess, running back Derek Gore, cornerback Rashad Wildgoose, quarterback Jake Fromm, offensive lineman Mason Brooks, cornerback Nick Whiteside, the second, linebacker Dejon Harris, cornerback Tariq Castro Fields, wide receiver Zion Bowens, linebacker Milo Eifler, cornerback DeMarcus Fields, linebacker Farrod Gardner, safety Joshua Kalua, wide receiver Marcus Kemp, defensive tackle Isaiah Mack, defensive tackle Anthony Montalavo, tackle guard Aaron Montiero, running back Jared Patterson, defensive end Joshua Pryor, and cornerback DJ Sturgis. Also on the reserve suspended list, offensive tackle Braden Daniels, running back Jonathan Williams, wide receiver Kyrick McGowan, tight end Brandon Dillon, and tight end Caden Smith. So a lot of names, probably a lot of people you haven't heard of outside of some of the notables, like maybe Jared Patterson is a name that you've recognized, played for them in the last couple of years. But those are their cuts. As of now, what they have on their roster currently, they have 2 quarterbacks only. So that's a little surprising, keeping Sam Howell and just Jacoby Brissett. So as we've seen, quarterbacks are at a premium this year. So hopefully both of those 2 are able to stay healthy. They kept 7 wide receivers on their roster: Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Dion Brown, Brian Pringle, Dax Milne, and Mitchell Tinsley. They kept 4 tight ends in Logan Thomas, John Bates, Cole Turner, and Curtis Hodges. I really like Cole Turner if Logan Thomas and Jonathan Bates are injured, which they have been a lot in the last couple of years of their career. Cole Turner seems to be a pretty good, decent. He had a good preseason showing as well. They kept 3 running backs. They kept Brian Robinson, of course, Antonio Gibson, of course, and the rookie Chris Rodriguez Jr. was able to make the team. They kept 9 offensive line. You know, right now that's their Achilles heel, trying to get that together. Charles Leonard Jr. is still there. Nick Gates, Sam Cosme also has made the team. Cornelius Lucas, newcomer Andrew Wiley, Trent Scott, Sadiq Charles, Chris Paul, and Ricky Stromberg. On the defensive side of the ball, their defensive line, they kept 11, which is a lot. They have Jonathan Allen, who I read is sneakily might be a little injured. And I think he's a little injured. Darren Paynes, Fedarian Mathis, John Ridgway. I also heard sneakily Chase Young has a stinger in the shoulder, which is why he hasn't really been playing a lot lately. I think they even said that he had like a doctor's appointment last Friday, that nobody in the media were able to get any information out of Ron Rivera on what's going on with that. So hopefully he's healthy, because this is the year he really needs, of course, coming off his rookie contract, getting ready to end. Montez Sweat, James Smith-Williams, Casey Toohill, F.A. Obata, KJ Henry, and Andre Jones. Got 4 linebackers in Jamin Davis, Cody Barton, Kalika Hudson, and David Mayo. 5 cornerbacks, Kendall Fuller, Benjamin St. Juste probably will be the starters alongside with Emmanuel Forbes. And then you have backups Danny Johnson and Christian Holmes. 5 safeties in Cameron Curl, Jeremy Reeves, Derek Forrest, Quan Martin, and Percy Butler. For the special teams, Joey Sly was able to win the kicking job, as we talked about last week. Punter still the same in Tress Way, and long snapper Cameron Cheeseman. So these are going to be your Washington Commanders' first season under a new ownership. I think that's going to be very interesting to see how it all shakes out. Is the draw of the Washington Commanders going to be back? Are a lot of fans are going to be invested in the team again, and seeing how far they can go. Next up, I'm going to go to your Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys, they were also getting down to those cuts as well. And they also made some acquisitions. They traded cornerback Kelvin Joseph and acquired cornerback Noah, and I'm not going to say his last name because I'm going to butcher it. So they were able to make that deal done today. Players that they waived or released: defensive tackle Isaac Alarcon, who I can't remember, I think he played for somebody recently that I saw somewhere. Anyway, defensive end Ben Benogu, wide receiver Jose Barbin, defensive tackle Quentin Bohanna, offensive lineman Earl Bostic, quarterback Miles Brooks, cornerback Josh Butler, linebacker Jabril Cox, safety Tyler Coyle, running back Malik Davis, so he wasn't able to crack the roster, wide receiver Dontario Drummond, offensive line Chuma Edoka, tight end Princeton Fant, offensive lineman Mac Farnock, wide receiver Simi Fihok, cornerback C.J. Goodwin, tight end Seth Green, quarterback Will Greer, who might have made the team a few days ago until somebody new arrived, but I'm sure we'll talk about that later. Offensive lineman Brock Hoffman, wide receiver Dennis Houston, linebacker Malik Jefferson, defensive end Darrell Johnson, wide receiver Tyron Johnson, linebacker Isaiah Land, offensive lineman Alex Lindstrom, cornerback D'Angelo Mandel, tight end Sean McKeon, wide receiver Jalen Moreno Cropper, defensive back Sheldrick Redwine, long snapper Trent Sieg, offensive lineman Alex Taylor Prelo, defensive lineman Tyrus Wheat. Also on the reserve suspended list, of course, we know Ronald Jones missing those 2 games due to the PED. And then on the reserve injured list, offensive lineman Josh Ball, wide receiver David Duran, linebacker DeMarvion Overshawn, rookie who tore his ACL, as well as another rookie tight end, John Stevens Jr., who also tore his ACL. So he will also be on that reserve injured list. So they had a lot going on, getting those people out the door, and again with the acquisition that we stated. So they were able to keep quarterbacks Dak Prescott, of course, Cooper Rush, and newly acquired Trey Lance from the 49ers. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that later. Running back Tony Pollard, of course, Rico Dotto, running back, and Deuce Vaughn was able to crack the actual 53-man roster. So, I mean, definitely congratulations to him. I think he has a promising future. I'm always, of course, just interested to see when you have smaller stature players, how well they're able to stay healthy. Some of the really good ones were able to do it. As much as never really was big on Boston Scott, he never really gets injured, even as he's small in stature. Darren Sproles had a very long career as well. So hopefully he's able to, do that as well. They also kept running back Hunter Luque. For tight ends, Jake Ferguson, rookie Luke Schoonmaker, tight end Peyton Hendershot, Wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Michael Gallup, and Jalen Tolbert, who I think had a pretty good preseason coming off his rookie year last year. I think he, is working his way up. So we'll see how that shakes out in their wide receiver room. Also, they kept Kevontae Turnip, the standout from last year with their punt return and kickoff return. So we'll see how he goes. They also kept another wide receiver in Jalen Brooks. So they have quite a few wide receivers that is going to see maybe sometime, not sometime. That's 3, 4, 5 of them, 6 of them. So they have a good deal amount of those. On the offensive line, we have offensive tackle Tyron Smith, offensive guard Tyler Smith, to me, T's and Smiths, center Tyler Biazde. Of course, Zach Martin, who was able to get his contract done and reported to camp. Offensive tackle Terrence Steele. Offensive lineman Asim Richards. Offensive lineman TJ Bass. And offensive lineman Matt Waletsuko. Defensive side for, of course, defensive end DeMarcus Lawrence, still holding it down there. Dorrance Armstrong, Sam Williams, Dante Fowler, Mozzie Smith, rookie out of Michigan. Really interested to see how he shakes up and how his career starts off for him. Defensive tackle Jonathan Hankins, defensive tackle Osa. I'm not going to say his last name because I'll butcher that as well. Defensive tackle Vilami Fioko. Defensive tackle Chauncey Golston. Neville Gilmore. And to your linebackers, of course, best player on their team, probably Michael Parsons. You also have Leighton Vander Esch, Damone Clark, Devin Harper. For the secondary, Trayvon Diggs, who just signed a massive deal this offseason. Newly acquired Stephon Gilmore to give him somebody across from him, which is, to me, just crazy. Deron Bland. Jordan Lewis was able to make the team as well. Cornerback Eric Scott Jr., newly acquired Noah, I'm not going to say his last name, we'll butcher. Cornerback Nashawn Wright. And safety Donovan Wilson, safety Malik Hooker, Javon Kerr, safety Israel Makuma, and safety Marquise Bell, as well as safety Junai Thomas. So a lot of safeties, a lot of people in that secondary. And for their special teams right now, punter Brian Anger and kicker Brandon Aubrey. It's definitely notable to say that a lot of these teams are still looking, as these players are being released, everybody is looking at the waiver wire and seeing where they go and who they can acquire, who they can get past and get on their practice squad possibly. So there's still a lot of things that are going to go on with all of these teams. I didn't mention it in the first one now that I think about it, but of course, next week we'll be talking about getting ready for the first games. For the Washington Commanders, their first game is going to be against the Arizona Cardinals on September 10th at 1 o'clock at FedEx Field. And for your Dallas Cowboys, they're going to have Sunday night against the New York Giants. So first primetime game for both teams. That should be very, very interesting. Speaking of the New York Giants, we're going to go to them and their cuts. Right now, they also acquired with the trade from the Bills, outside linebacker Boogie Basham from the Bills. For their waived and release, they released quarterback Tommy DeVito, wide receiver Colin Johnson, running back Deshaun Corbin, running back James Johnson, wide receiver Khalil Pimpleton, tight end Ryan Jones, offensive tackle Tyree Phillips, guard Jack Anderson, guard Wyatt Davis, defensive tackle Ryder Anderson, defensive tackle Kobe Smith, outside linebacker Habuki Baldana, offensive linebacker Tommy Fox, linebacker Ray Wilborn, linebacker Deontay Johnson, linebacker Darian Beavers, defensive tackle Kevin Atkins, nose tackle Donovan Jeter, cornerback Jamon Green, defensive back Darren Evans, defensive back Zion Gilbert, safety Alex Cooks, and long snapper Cameron Lyons. That's probably a position they're going to be looking for since they don't currently have one on the active roster after cutting him. They did terminate some contracts with outside linebacker O'Shane Exmines, defensive end Tayshawn Bauer, defensive tackle Brandon Bryant, cornerback Amari Orwari, offensive tackle Corey Cunningham, offensive tackle Julian Davenport, offensive lineman Sean Harlow, Cole Beasley, veteran, was in camp, unfortunately not able to make the team. Also, longtime New York Giant David Sills, wide receiver. Also, longtime New York Jet Jamison Crowder was cut, and wide receiver Jadon Mickens. On the reserved and injured list, wide receiver Bryce Ford Wheaton and tight end Chris Myrick. And on the reserved non-football list, tight end Tommy Sweeney. Their first game will be against the Cowboys, like I said, Sunday night. Now on to the players that did make the team. They only kept 2 quarterbacks, Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor. For running backs, they kept 4. Saquon is, of course, the number 1 after he was able to get his 1-year deal, as well as keeping Matt Breida, who we've seen in the past, Gary Brightwell, as well as rookie Eric Gray. They kept 6 wide receivers, Isaiah Hodgkins, who had a great year last year. I don't know why I haven't really heard a lot about him so far in the preseason. I don't think he's played, if any, but I'm interested to see how he has another year. Paris Campbell, veteran, Darius Slayton, veteran, the rookie Jalen Hyatt, speedster, definitely excited to see him play. Sterling Shepard, who is honestly one of my favorite players. I really like him if he can stay healthy. I want him to stay healthy because when he does, he plays well, as long as he doesn't play well against us, but anybody else I can deal with. And they did just activate Wan'Dale Robinson, who tore his ACL last year. So he is on the active 53-man roster. They kept 3 tight ends, of course, newly acquired Darren Waller, Daniel Bellinger, who I think had a pretty decent season last year until he got injured it was a nasty poke in the eye. It was just really bad to look at, as well as Lawrence Cager. They kept 9 offensive linemen, kind of like the Washington Commanders. That's their Achilles heel. They got to kind of get nailed down, which has kind of been the same thing for the last few years. Andrew Thomas, Ben Bredeson, John Michael Schmidt, the rookie, Mark Lewinsky, Evan Neal, who we know, Joshua Azuda, Shane Lemieux, Matt Pert, and Marcus McKeithen. So those are going to be the guys protecting Daniel Jones, especially with only having 2 quarterbacks on the list. Definitely want to make sure you keep them upright. The defensive line, they kept 6 with Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence, who I'm really starting to like a lot more. He's a really good player. Ashawn Robinson, rookie Jordan Riley, Raheem Nunez-Roches, as well as DJ Davidson. Edge and linebacker, they're keeping 8. Kayvon Thibodeau, rookie, going into a sophomore season. We saw flashes of greatness last year. I'm interested to see how that continues to evolve for him on the defensive side for them. Azeez Ojulari, Jahad Ward, Isaiah Simmons, newly acquired Isaiah Simmons, and I'm a little perturbed about that, knowing that my team needs a linebacker. And I mean, our old coordinator is the coach. He couldn't call us up. I don't know how I feel about it. Bobby Okereke, Michael McFadden, Carter Coughlin, and Cam Brown. 6 cornerbacks, rookie Deontay Banks and rookie Trey Hawkins, both were able to make the team. Adoree Jackson, Darnay Holmes, Cordell Flott, and Nick McLeod. On the safeties, you have, of course, Xavier McKinney, Jason Pinnock, who had a great camp and put a lot of good film out there for himself. So kudos to him for making the team. Dane Belton, Bobby McCain, and rookie Javarius Owens. And on their special teams, kicker Graham Gano, Jamie Gillen, and Casey Kreider, long snapper. So again, to me, I really feel like the NFC East is kind of on its way up a little bit with some of these players and these teams. And it's going to be an interesting season. Now on to your NFC East champions. I'll say that now and forever. They also did a little bit of acquiring themselves today. They traded and received a tight end, Albert Okwum. Yeah, that last name, tight end from Denver.
Albert O. You good.
Albert O, there you go. From Denver. Thank you, Kaido. I don't know who he is, but we'll find out. Especially because we released not a lot, but we released 2 pretty notable tight ends in Dan Arnold and Tyree Jackson, who I thought he's kind of held on for the last few years, but he's been injury prone, so he was finally released. But we'll go down the waived and release list now. Olympic hurdler Devin Allen has been waived and released. I would expect him to see him on the practice squad. Linebacker Quentin Bell, quarterback Ian Book, running back Kennedy Brooks. Also, both of them I expect to be on the practice squad. Defensive tackle Robert Cooper. Wide receiver Britton Covey was maybe slightly a surprise just because he was pretty much the primary punt returner that we had. So I'm interested to see who's going to be taking over in that position, if he's going to be on probably the practice squad. Cornerback Mekhi Gardner, guard Julian Good-Jones, wide receiver Jadon Hasselwood, defensive end Terran Jackson, which was a little bit of a surprise, but we're pretty deep at defensive end. Tight end Tyree Jackson, like I stated. Linebacker Karen Johnson. I just don't think we should release any linebackers, but that's just me because we're pretty slim there in my opinion. Wide receiver Johnny King. Linebacker Tyreek Maddox Williams. Safety Tristan McCullum. Linebacker Nicholas Mora, who was signed in the offseason and was expected to be the starting linebacker, and he has not even made the team. So that should tell you a lot. Wide receiver Joseph Nagata. Defensive end Janarius Robinson. Guard Tyrese Robinson. Tight end Brady Russell. Defensive tackle Olive Sagapolu, who was just recently signed as well. Defensive tackle Caleb Sanders. Cornerback Josiah Scott. Guard Josh Sills, who just returned to the team after some legal issues. Might see him in the practice squad as well. Probably the biggest name that everybody that was an Eagles fan wanted to be cut, Hunter Arian Sipos. I've never seen people call for a punter to be cut so much, but they can't stand him. Coming back, of course, probably because of that shank punt in the Super Bowl. I don't think he's going to be able to live that down. He's been cut. Wide receiver Freddie Swain, who was also just signed, is cut. Linebacker Ben Van Sermon. Safety Kayvon Wallace, who's made the team the last 2 years. Just wasn't able to crack the 53-man roster this year. I think he has regressed a little bit. I still expect to see him on the practice squad. Wide receiver Greg Ward. That one hurt a little bit. He held us down those years where we did not have any wide receivers. I think he'll be able to be on the practice squad, but I think he had a good enough showing that I don't know if he'll make it through waivers. We'll see. And then defensive tackle Marvin Wilson. On the waive injured list, this one hurt a little bit too, but they're very running back heavy as well. With Trey Sermon, I think he's a really good young kid. I don't know what it is. I just think he needs an actual chance. Maybe it's not with us. Maybe it's somewhere else. But we'll see. And wide receiver Tyree Cleveland, of course, who got injured. And then on the reserve suspended list, another player that was just recently acquired, cornerback Isaiah Rodgers from the Indianapolis Colts, who's suspended for the entire year due to gambling. So it looks like they're just going to stash him away and see how he works in the off season, and see how we can come back next year, knowing that both of our corners are getting up there in age, and James Bradbury and Darius Slay. So we'll see how that shakes out. Their first game is going to be against the Patriots on Sunday in the 425 slot. And on to those who made the team. Of course, starting with the quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Back behind him, Tanner McKee and Marcus Mariota. Running backs, we have DeAndre Swift, Rashad Penny, Kenneth Gainwell, and Boston Scott keeping 4. They're also only keeping 4 wide receivers, which was a little surprising to me. And A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, and Olamide Zacchaeus. So I was a little surprised I only kept 4. I was thinking maybe one more, but we'll see. Tight end, Dallas Goedert, Zach Stoll, Grant Calcaterra, and newly acquired Albert O. Offensive line, of course, you got Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Jason Kelsey, Cam Jurgens, who will be taking the place of Isaac Seumalo, who left and went to the Steelers, I believe. And then offensive lineman, of course, Lane Johnson. Recently re-signed Fred Johnson, offensive lineman, and Jack Driscoll, and rookie Tyler Steen out of Alabama. And they also kept Sue Opata. On the defensive side, you have Brandon Graham, of course, Josh Sweat, of course, Fletcher Cox, of course, rookie Jalen Carter, who I'm uber excited to see. Like, I just want to see him play meaningful minutes. Defensive tackle Jordan Davis, defensive tackle Marlon Tupulati, defensive tackle Mora Ojomo, Contavious Street, coming over from, I believe he came from the Saints. Defensive end Derek Barnett, who's kind of wishy-washy with the fans. Sometimes the fans like him, sometimes they don't. Defensive tackle Milton Williams. Linebacker core, I believe they kept 4. And who's leading that is going to be second-year player N'Kobe Dean. I believe he'll have the green dot. They have him listed as a linebacker, but we know it's a defensive edge. Hassan Reddick. Nolan Smith, who I'm also super excited to see. Patrick Johnson, newly acquired Zach Cunningham, who is based right now slated to be the second starter with N'Kobe, and then kept Christian Ellis. The secondary, you have Darius Slay, James Bradbury, Avante Maddox, Josh Jobe. I was nice to see him kind of make the team again. And rookie undrafted free agent out of Alabama, Eli Ricks. A lot of people were talking a lot of great things about him in camp and in preseason. Mario Goodrich, Reed Blankenship, who's going to be starting safety, and Justin Evans, who I also think will also be in the mix for starting safety. And then also they have Terrell Edmonds, and probably my favorite, Sidney Brown. I just think he has such a high motor. He's going to run everywhere and just do everything. Just make sure that it's controlled. Being rookies, they still got to figure out what's right and what's wrong. And then last, special teams, Jake Elliott, the kicker, and Rick Lovato as long snapper. And I'm sorry I missed one cornerback. They did also keep Keely Ringo out of Georgia as well. So those are the 53 men on the roster. Now, I would assume for all four teams, this week is really just ready to put in game plans, get ready for the first week. And yeah, I'm super excited. All of the preseason's over, the cuts are over, but now we're going to see who's going to get picked up off waivers, who's going to make practice squads. So I'm sure we'll have some more updates for that next week.
Yeah, football is pretty much almost here. Still watch. It's been fun watching folks wrap their mind around it. Again, it's just the first 53 of the year. It's not the final 53 for anybody. So it's a fluid situation for most teams, and I'm not talking about injuries just as a whole. But what we're gonna do is up next we'll talk with Ray, who's gonna check in live from the ESAs. We talk about tonight's Mystics Lynx matchup. Washington's coming off a big win over the Aces. For you all that don't catch up with us with Mystics Outlook, Cardell and Ray had a great conversation a couple nights ago. So it behooves you to get over there and find out about the type of performance they put in. Just a couple nights ago. It's really worth your time. That said, we're going to take our first break after we talk with Ray and talk DC United. You're watching the Focus TV.
I mean, this might be a pretty simple concept, but you win a little bit more games when you have all your talent available. Tonight was the first time they had every player on the roster healthy since, I believe they said it was June 9th. So it's been a while. But yeah, man, the last two games, they've put together some pretty solid wins. Two playoff teams. Of course, the Aces defending champs, top team in the league. The Lynx in the playoff mix as well. This was an exceptionally big win because they jumped from 7th to 5th in the standings. We've been talking about getting out of that 8-7 spot for them. So this is huge for them. If they just continue to handle business, then, they'll put themselves in a pretty good spot. But, in regards to tonight, they were just in control from jump and never relinquished it. They defended well, which has been, pretty much what they've been hanging their hat on this season. They shot the ball pretty well tonight, too, 45% from the field. They were 48% from three and 13 and 15 from the free throw line. So yeah, man, they covered their bases offensively. They rebounded well. They moved the ball, got good looks. And yeah, man, it was just a solid game from top to bottom. This is a team that had beat them twice this year, so it was important to get one in on them. They lost one game. They won on the last second shot. So they had their problems. They fixed their problems with the Lynx so far, but they handled them pretty well this game. Of course, Brittany Sykes continues to wreak havoc on both sides of the ball. Elena, she's starting to round back into looking like herself. Shakira looks like she's moving better, getting a little more active. Tosh, she didn't shoot the ball well tonight, but she was active defensively. She rebounded. She controlled the game. She had 9 assists. It's just good to see them healthy, and I know everybody's not at 100% yet, but, just being able to put that collection of talent on the floor, it just gives them a completely different dynamic. And, they continue to get their bodies back down the stretch. It's going to be interesting to see what they look like going into the playoffs. I'm glad they're getting a couple games for some of the ladies to get their sea legs back. I think most notably Ariel Atkins is kind of rounding herself back into shape. You know, she's getting a little more bounce in her step. She's looking more comfortable and on balance with her shot. So, of course, that's going to pay huge dividends the closer she gets back to being herself. But yeah, man, hell of a win. You know, I talked about the implications in the standings earlier. I'm pretty sure that's that's something in the back of their minds as well. So pretty much all these games are playoff games for them. You know, because the standings being so jumbled up, and all the teams they're playing except the Mercury are playoff teams. So you know, it's basically go time for the Mystics. And man, these last 2 games they look ready.
Cardell.
Like Ray said, obviously they're healthy now. You know, we got their unit back, but I think they also just committed to their identity. You could tell throughout most of the season they were still fluctuating between should we embrace this defensive first identity or do we still kind of have that offensive explosion that led them to a championship years ago? And I think they just fully bought in like this is who we got to be. We gonna be defense first, and then let that cater to our offense, let that lead into our offense, and it's been working since they've gotten everybody back over the last couple games, and especially like Ray said, certain players like Atkins and Deladon, Shakira, you can see their legs coming back slowly but surely, man. I think that's the key. That they've been lights out defensively over the last 2 games, man. You know, they held the Aces to 30% shooting from the field. Tonight they held the Lynx to 41% shooting from the field. You know, and they were so on point defensively, like true. I mean, the key players didn't shoot the ball well. Like Shakira was 3 for 9, Tosh was 2 for 13. Maisha's 0 for 5, like uncharacteristically off, you know, but it didn't matter because the Lynx had far more players off outside of obviously former Terp Diamond Miller and Fees. And I mean, it was a breeze. It wasn't much to really, worry about out there. And that's a testament to their overall team defense. They also turned them over and they made them pay when they turned them over. They got out and they scored. And they scored 19 points off their 14 turnovers last I checked. So it's just their guard lineup, man. I think that's what's leading them right now. You know, I know Deladon's the star of the big name, but it's that unit, man. It's that Cloud, it's Sykes, it's Atkins, man. Like we all envision. I keep saying it when they're healthy, it's hell. It's hell for the perimeter. It's hell. Like it's they shut people down, man, and they make it very difficult for you to get in your stuff. So you got to go to plan B, plan C, plan D, and to try to sustain that throughout the game is tough. And that's how they're able to pull away and win when they just take away your top options all the time, especially on the perimeter, man. And Atkins, she's just been lights out the last couple games. She's shooting 11 for 14 over her last 3 games. That's ridiculous. She's off the charts. She should shoot more the way she's on fire, but she don't need to. You know what I mean? It's just, she just playing within the flow. It was good to see Tolliver back out there. Get a little minutes, try to get her legs back, in time for this playoff push. And Tiana Hawkins, man, like that's their MVP this season. If it's an MVP, it's Tiana Hawkins. I know Sykes is balling, but like whatever they need, just the professional dog with that center, forward, some 3, it don't matter. Pick a roll, switch out on guards, rebound, block shots, steals, bring the ball up. Whatever they need at that time, she fills the void, man. And you don't win without players like her, man. So what they've been showing is they still have some championship DNA left in them. They're pulling out some tough wins. It was looking dire before the Aces games. Like, yeah, y'all got to win this. You know what I mean? Now they're in 5th. You know what I'm saying? And the thing I said after last game, like, don't give it back tonight. Like, go in there, seize it, and keep it going, keep the momentum going. And that's what they did, man. So, kudos to them. They're in 5th. Keep winning. Get above 500, and then you rolling pretty going into the playoffs.
Welcome back. You're watching Focus TV. Real quick with DC United, we told you guys coming out of that last little break, similar to the Mystics, it's about going down this stretch and finishing strong. So I'm going to go ahead and put this handy dandy list up here. These are the standings. You see where DC United is at the moment, and let you guys know what happened this past week and how they fare afterwards. The Black and Red took on the Philadelphia Union at Audi Field on Saturday, and it didn't take long for the visitors to strike. Williams, a center back for DC United, they've been playing out the back a lot this year. He took a touch, the ball got away from him. It's why it's always difficult playing out the back, because you make a mistake back there. Like, in other sports at the turnover, there's some room or some ground that has to be covered before they get to where they want to go. In that case, man, the keeper's like 10 yards behind you. It's tough right there. He gets dispossessed. Carranza finds Ura, puts Philadelphia up 1-0. Disaster with strike again for DC United, this time off a set piece. They take a set piece. The ball was cleared, and Philly got off to a great counterattack. Almost a one-man operation. Martinez took the ball, beat two DC United players down the right sideline, and then he slid a pass into the middle. One of his teammates dummied the ball, made a run, let the ball go between his legs. Chris Durkin had a chance for DC United to intercept the ball to break it up. He whiffed on it. He just missed it. Ball had a little bit of pace on it, and it fell at the feet of McGlynn. And he made sure he didn't waste an opportunity. It was 2-0 Philadelphia. And again, this is still the first half. This happened very quickly. The Union continued to attack, but Tyler Miller had a couple big saves for them to keep the lead at 2. But that didn't last too much longer. Tyler Miller, something we talked about all year, about him kind of helping the defense out, almost playing a sweeper at times. Ball got played over the top. He came out to help, made some contact with the Union attacker. You could possibly say it was a little embellishment here or there, but he hit the man's leg on a follow-through, so I get why it was called. That led to a penalty kick. Philadelphia, again, opportunity, capitalized on it. This time it was Gazdag. He stepped up, calmly converted the PK, and DC United, you're down 3-0 in your first game. After the break, they kept trying to get back into the game, just struggled a bit. They did get on the board in the 88th minute with Sekou Pietro, received a pass a couple yards in from midfield. He put the ball on his left foot, beat a couple defenders, and fired a shot past the diving keeper. The keeper got a hand on it, but it was just too much velocity on the shot. So DC United would end up losing 3-1. But I wanted to make sure the standings were up here so you guys can see. Despite them losing, they are 2 points below the team they will be playing on Saturday. So despite that loss, they have an opportunity. Again, if you guys have been watching Mystics Outlook, you've heard us say this for a while for different reasons. Even after the loss, you still have an opportunity. It's about capitalizing on it, however. If you beat Chicago, you're right above the line. Obviously, you would like to be further up, but right now you're looking up at the line. You don't want to be underneath the line. So, as Octavia said about the NFC East earlier, we will be letting you guys know what happens with the Black and Red next week on the Focus TV. Going to take our second break. When we get back, rapid fire. Welcome back to the Focus TV. You guys know what time it is. It is time for rapid fire. Cardell, what you got for us this week?
Yeah, man, it's a lot on across all sports, but we're gonna start on the basketball side, kind of. It started with the track and field side of things, that made its way over to the NBA side, man. Ruffled some feathers, but Noah Lyles, made a little bit of noise on and off the track recently at the 2023 World Athletic Championships in Budapest, Hungary. The 26-year-old American, he became the first male sprinter to win both the 100-meter and 200-meter events since Usain Bolt. Lyles claimed the 200-meter bronze at the 2020 Olympics. Also became the first male sprinter since Bolt to win 3 straight 200-meter world titles. Lyles picked up another gold in the 4x100-meter relay as well. While he was in the midst of adding 3 more world championships to his medal case last week, Lyles took aim at the NBA and his usage of the term world champion. Quote, the thing that hurts me the most is that I have to watch the NBA Finals and they had world champion on their head. Lyles said, world champion of what? The United States? Don't get me wrong. I love the U.S. at times, but that ain't the world. That is not the world. We are the world. We have almost every country out here fighting, thriving, putting on their flag to show that they are represented. There ain't no flags in the NBA. obviously those comments went across all sports networks, social media, whatnot. You know, a few NBA players, you know, made a few replies to him. KD said somebody helped his brother. Devin Booker just pretty much put a facepalm emoji up. Draymond Green said when being smart goes wrong. PJ Tucker facepalm emoji, can't make this ish up. Bam Adebayo said, is somebody going to tell him? And Tyus Jones said, yeah, this ain't it. Facepalm emoji, laughing emoji. We'll start with you, Octave. Just what are your thoughts on this spirited debate that's been going across sports over the last few days, as far as, I guess, the NBA champs crown themselves the world champions, and I guess in his eyes that being inappropriate. And what Wilson is showing is Real Madrid's roster. They're the defending EuroLeague champions. They won the EuroLeague champion, which is the second best league in the world, representing all the top European clubs. And then we all know who won the NBA championship, the Denver Nuggets. So if you look at the current roster of Real Madrid, it's not far-fetched to see that if they played the Nuggets, it'll get ugly. It'll get ugly fairly quickly in a series or an individual game, however you want to do it. It'll get ugly. But Octavia, and that you've seen that, what are your thoughts on things?
There's so many ways to go with this. So first off, I would say a lot of people were bothered by this. I mean, very bothered. To me, I get both sides, and it's like I understand where Noah Lyles is coming from in the aspect of the literal meaning behind everything. They're literally competing against other countries, and that's how they can claim themselves to be world champions. I understand that. And then on the other side, I understand what the NBA players are saying as well, that we're the best league in the world. All the best players play here in the world. We have I think they said over 40 international players. It's probably more than that in the league.
It's more than that. It's 120.
Yeah, so they have a bunch of other players. And you think about it, those players are probably the top players in their own countries. So it's kind of safe to say that, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it is. So that's why I was like, I can see one as being like literal, like, yes. I don't know why it came up. That was my other thing. Like, I don't even know why Noah decided to say all of this all of a sudden. Like, to me, it just kind of came out of left field. Maybe it was a question that was asked that I didn't hear in the interview. But to me, this is just much to do about nothing. Like, everybody knows. I mean, at least I feel like we should know what each side is saying. Like you said, if the Denver Nuggets played against this team, like, I would not even watch it. I mean, if you want to be real, in this moment right now with the FIBA games going on, I mean, I've woken up the last two games to watch the games. They've been at 8:30 in the morning on Sunday and 8:30 yesterday. I'm going to try, and I say this very loosely, try to catch their game tomorrow morning because it's at 4:30. I'm going to try. But I mean, even those games are like runaways. Like, so I just think this is.
It's not even the top players in the NBA.
Exactly. So, and I mean, like, and then even think about it. Like, I feel like the next one, I haven't watched all the teams, so I can't even say the next. But like, I really want to find some time to watch Canada play, because Canada has a lot of NBA players on their team, and I want to see how they all are meshing. I seen Shai Gilgeous-Alexander do something to somebody today that was just ridiculous. Homeboy was on his knees after he got crossed up. So yeah, I don't like this argument. I don't like it because I feel like one side is being literal and the other side is just like, bro, use your common sense. And I just think that's where we're at this point. And everybody's sensitive to their own sport and what they do and how they feel, and everybody's entitled to their own opinions. But I just think this story was just so blown out of proportion on both sides. Like, it is what it is. Like, we know what he means, but we know that he should also know like what the NBA players mean.
Wilson.
Yeah, just shout out to him for winning that race, and he's a beast in his sport. I would just like as respectful as possible, man. Just stay in your lane. It's not the same thing. Just leave it alone. Like, again, these rosters, like it's almost rude to put these rosters up near each other, right? And like you talk about, the flags on a jersey, what have you. Again, ideally, track and field, every meet you get folks in different heats to compete, to find out who's the best. Well, with basketball, like it's unquestioned what league in the world is the best. And if everyone's best ends up in one place, and it's not the Olympics for that 82 game season, what are we discussing? Would he rather just put you want a flag on the back of the uniforms to make you feel better? That's great, but it's the folks that came, the folks that built the NBA, the backs the NBA was built on, has become progressively and more progressively global as time has went on. We're watching the last how many MVPs right now? It is a global game. Let it go. Like, this is not even a discussion. And am I shocked the NBA players in their offseason found time to Google NBA or search hashtag NBA or anything and say something? No, I'm not. It's just what they do. But yeah, it was just funny to me. But like, come on, man. Like some of those leagues, the guys that make it to the league from other countries, get to the NBA, make it to the league, and still play in those leagues, as the father time, kind of closes, winds up, they go back to those leagues and play. But the mission is that you start off in them leagues, if those academies or what have you, to get here, to get to the 82 game grind. Come on,
man. Clearly for me, when you play in the best league, you have the best players from around the world. I could see he would have a point if it was just American players. They're literally the best players from around the globe, including the reigning EuroLeague champions, Real Madrid. I think Luka played for them. Where is he at? He's in the NBA. It's for a reason. This is not disrespecting overseas players. I would never do that. I was headed over there, so I know what the talent is and stuff like that. I know it's talented guys. I know it's guys capable. Like Wilson, lead this up real quick. So they're actually former NBA players on Real Madrid's roster. Rudy Fernandez, Capachonzo, he was with the Nuggets. Mario Hezonja, Sergio Rodriguez, Vincent Poirier, he was with the Go-Go and the Wizards for a little bit. Tavares Eddie, Sergio Lowe. They have NBA guys guys on their roster that have NBA experience, okay? But at the same time, with the exception of probably Rudy Fernandez, who got a few starts in Portland, a lot of these guys were role players. And at the end of the rotation, but they're stars overseas. This is just proving the point. You feel what I'm saying? And what people forget is that reigning NBA champions used to take on the reigning EuroLeague champions in the preseason. If you watch The Last Dance, remember Scott Burrell, like, this championship counts, and Mike was laughing at him when the Bulls played over there. That's what that was. It was the McDonald's sponsored thing. The best European team against the NBA team. Keep spreading the globe. Michael Jordan overseas. It was a big deal. The Bulls beat the hell out of them, and they weren't even in shape yet. It was a training camp game. So, you know what I mean? Like Octavia said, I don't know what sparked it. My thing is, it seems like people love to be contrarians. They'll see certain things, topics and debates pop up, and they just like to go against the grain. They can say they're the world champions because they literally beat the best players in the world and the best teams in the world. It's not rocket science, man. Why we gotta overthink this? And the fact that people think you gotta literally go overseas and play, and they say, well, the world championships in track and field, the Olympics aren't being played in every country either. They pick a damn spot and they all compete there. So the Olympics were in Japan recently, right? So whoever won gold medal in that, they're not the world champs because it was in Japan? You see what I'm saying? Like, none of it makes sense, no matter what type of stance you try to take. It's just dumb, man. And I'm like, my man, you just really burst on the scene winning gold medals and stuff at the world champs. Congrats. But if you don't do it at the Olympics, they're gonna forget about you. So like just focus. It's just too much. It's too much of this, man. Like people just they have their moment and they use it to, I guess, create controversy, man. So just keep it moving and focus on you and trying to be the best you could be and go down as one of the greatest sprinter of all time, or as some say, the potential to be the best possibly. You know what I'm saying? Focus on that, because the reason why the NBA players kind of spoke up on that is the guys that, especially the guys who won championships, that's a hell of a grind. You know what I'm saying? That's 100+ games you winning. You taking on everybody best. You getting scrutinized and all that. And when you finally hold that gold cup up, you get those rings. It means something. That means I am the best in the world. So for somebody who coming along to kind of question that, yeah, I can see why they would get, like I'm gonna get at his head a little bit because he sounded crazy. You feel what I'm saying? Again, he can, like, can you really say you the best sprinter in the world till you do it in the Olympics? So if I'm him, I would be more focused on that. You know what I'm saying? So, that's neither here nor there. I just had to touch on that because this is crazy. It's very logical. I don't understand why people making it harder. It has to be, man.
And he's from the DMV, so it's like, come on, man.
Staying on the basketball side of things, Nicholas Batum has said he is not looking forward to a return trip to France. It's not hard. It's hard to blame him. You know what I mean? The Los Angeles Clippers forward and French national team veteran was stunned on Sunday after Latvia rallied to beat France 88-86 in a Group H game in the FIBA World Cup in Jakarta, Indonesia. The loss sent France, who had finished third at the past 2 World Cups, home before the tournament's knockout stage. Quote, I've never been ashamed with this jersey, but this is the first time I'm ashamed. Who said, I'm scared to go home because we let a lot of people down. A lot of people believed in us to do something special. We didn't do it. France struggled throughout the World Cup this summer, something very few expected. The team was a medal favorite for the tournament and entered the event ranked number 5 in the world by FIBA. On Friday, Canada dominated France in the first game of the tournament. France lost by 30 points, the largest loss by the country's top team in a major event since 1987. Then on Sunday, despite holding a 13-point lead in the second half, France stumbled again. Latvia rallied in the final minutes and then take the lead for the first time in the game until there were 37.7 points left on seconds left. Roland Smits dropped 20 points to lead Latvia to the win, and oh boy, Davis Bertans added 15 points. Evan Fournier led France with 27 points. Gushon Yabusele finished with 18 points, and Rudy Gobert added 9 points and 7 rebounds. The win sent Latvia, who beat Lebanon in its opening round game, and Canada into the knockout stage. France and Lebanon will play on Tuesday, though France can't finish any better than 17. Oh, man, Wilson, we're going to start with you. The fact that my man's scared to go home after a loss. But just talk about the loss, man, just the disappointment for a team came in ranked 5th and can't finish no higher than 17th. And also the dynamic of, I know when Americans, the rare times that they do lose, it's embarrassing. They might get slandered, but I don't think they feel for their lives and nothing like that. My man, like, I might just go fly back to LA and just chill out for a little bit, dog. Just talk about both dynamics, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're spoiled here. Our teams don't do well. It's in a news cycle nonstop for like 7 days, maybe 10. Then somebody else does something and they move on. But for 10 days, it's crazy because it's every day. People that don't care about the sport on your neck or whatever. Then they go back to their life where they didn't care about it beforehand. They go back to regular, out of sight, out of mind. However, for the rest of the world in international competitions, when you are not one that, and so even if you're a world power in your respective sport, the smoke is there for you when you get home. It's just varying degrees of said smoke. It's for your country. They take that seriously. Here, they don't take it as seriously. At least I'm keeping it basketball as seriously. Basketball or soccer, whatever. They don't take it as serious. Other countries, man, that's huge. That's everything. All those little qualifying tournaments, all those wins, like every match matters, right? Where here it's kind of like we're talking about the C plus team, the B team, whatever that we got in the FIBA qualifying right now, right? And we know, that the biggest guns aren't there. Man, America's kind of like, yeah, whatever happens. If you lose, we're gonna clown you. If you don't lose, it doesn't matter. The adults will be in the room come the Olympics because whatever happens here. That said, you got Nick Batum in his big old age. Like, I don't want to go home. Think about that. They're not playing right now. And then, so you got France where you had the highs of Vic going #1 recently, followed by this. Everyone not named Vic. Vic's gonna get some of it because he didn't go. But everybody not named Vic, all the adults, this is unacceptable. And then you got to look around. Some of the other countries, while they don't have as many big guns as the U.S. does, they don't have their plus players there either. So if you're France, this is going to be one of those disappointments where they hold that up for like going forward for years because you sent your guys. You sent your guys and you're eliminated. You talk about losing to Latvia. Kristaps Porzingis did not play. And I'm not saying Kristaps Porzingis is the end-all be-all of, however, in international play, a 7'3" player, a 7'2" player is a 7'2" player that is skilled, did not play. This is, dude, how do you explain this? And then the worst part is your vets were on this team. It's not like you sent the kids from France. These were the adults in the room that came and did this. Now, I don't want to go home. Y'all shouldn't want to go home either. At all. And again, I think we're spoiled here in clouded because, you know, you clown for a little bit, whatever, they'll fix it. Hey, man, you don't fix the other country. It's way more serious. Like, it's treated how it should be treated all the time. And I think sometimes people have blinders because we're in this country, whatever, in terms of just how much it matters. Like, in other countries, like the U17, U20, all the way up it matters. Don't let you be the grown-up team that fails. Like, people are upset when the kids fail. Yeah, this is a tough L. It's a really tough L. It is embarrassing. And they're going to hear about it. Like, it's not like here, we don't forget about it. Now, that's what I'm saying. They're going to remember. They're going to talk about it. The people that know you, they're going to catch some of it. And that's like the mild. And then we have the extreme ends. You know, the extreme end of it where some athletes do fear for their lives after losing international competitions because it's just that serious in different countries. I'm not saying it's France, but just in different countries, different sports is that serious. So international competitions are taking significantly, it's like DEFCON 5 in other places versus here with losses.
Well, you know, before you go, USA basketball is definitely taken serious. The public, they're going to clown and all that. I don't count them, but behind the scenes, people get fired. Remember 04? Lost in the gold medal. Manu Ginobili went to work. Coangelo came on and basically got all the top players to commit and made it a program again. And it's like that at all the, 18U, all those teams too. Like, you lose because I think a couple years ago when R.J. Barrett was coming up, he was still in high school when Canada, he led Canada over U.S. team. And next thing I know, things were different. Heads rolled, you know what I'm saying? Like, but people don't pay attention to those ages unless you just really involved with basketball. But it's serious, you know what I mean? But people got to take that into account. Go ahead, I'll say.
No, yeah, I agree with all of that. I definitely agree. He should probably just take the flight to LA, just chill out. But yeah, I definitely think it's the difference in the countries too. Because think about it. When was the last time we talked about, or a lot of people even talked about it for more than a few days when the women's team here lost in soccer in the World Cup, and they were highly touted. They were supposed to win that. I didn't hear a lot of people going in on Megan Rapinoe for a while, or Julia, especially with both of them retiring. But like you said, in different countries, it kind of hit different in a certain way. But it's definitely, it's got to be embarrassing and disappointing because you think about it, like we just talked about, you have the NBA where it is looked at as these are the very, very best players in the world. And this is quote unquote, whatever you want to say, the world champions if you win that or if you get in that league. You know, a lot of those other teams, other players might not have those opportunities to get over here. So stuff like this to them is really, really big. And then, like you were talking about as well, Carter, we might not see it, here as far as fandom as they are in like maybe France or other places. But their fans are like that. So it's like kind of how you were talking about how like behind the scenes here heads is rolling. It's like that's how their fans are. Their fans are like, Now out here we're just like, all right, cool. I guess we'll try and get in 4 years and be good again. Like I guess USA is kind of conditioned to feel like we're really good at a lot of stuff, however you want to spin it. But yeah, I can see, they don't get a lot of opportunities to kind of really put their country on the map in some type of huge way or some way, it's prideful for them. So I think a lot of other countries really, really take that to heart. Like you're really representing us. Like, so I can see how he could be a little bit nervous. I'm hoping it's not like too nervous to the fact where he fears for his life or anything like that, because I feel like at least with Nicholas Batum, he's a vet and he's been there for a while and he's done a lot of great things for them, so I'm hoping that maybe they give him a pass. But yeah, it was a tough loss. I remember when I read it, I was like, wow, they already out, because I could have sworn this tournament just started. So yeah, it sucks that he feels that way. I hate that, he feels like he can't even go back to his home country. But yeah, you gotta show up and be ready to play at all times, I guess.
One thing this also shows, winning matters. I'm starting to see a lot of NBA players that either were along for the ride to win the championship or didn't win. Oh, that championship don't mean nothing. I'm like, man, get the hell out of here. Y'all just talking. Winning matters, bro. That's what you working for. You know what I'm saying? So I respect the fact that it hurts him that much. Like, man, damn, I feel my country or whatnot. I just hope it don't get ignorant, because many cases, especially on the, you look at the soccer side, they get real. You know what I mean? So, I hope they don't look. I mean, yeah, they're gonna be pissed. He gonna hear about it. He gonna be walking down the street. Let Davis Bertan cook you units and throwing stuff at him and all that, man. He going to fight, man. I'm out of here, dog. Like, come on, man. And even he, they got pride. They like, dog, you let him go off and send us home. And I knew they were in trouble when they lost to Canada by 30. I'm like, whoa. Like, all right, Canada stacked. Like, the way it's looking, it might be U.S. and Canada and try to win this whole thing because they stacked. But it's one thing to lose by 30. As many NBA players on your team.
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert down there. Like that just means y'all were just out coached, out worked, out hustled. Y'all just got outplayed in every facet, man. And once you do that, get embarrassed like that, it's hard to come back from that. So, it's tough. But one more question, we're gonna get out of here. It's still on the basketball side, but on college. John Calipari in a recent interview, you said after the NBA changed its age requirement for draftees to 19 years old in 2006, John Calipari became, the biggest proponent of the one and done era, which has become a polarizing chapter in college basketball, in which players have leaped to the pros after just one season. But with the growth of the transfer portal in recent years, Calipari said a similar trend is happening again. Quote, "It is one and done too," Calipari, appearing on SportsCenter on Tuesday, said of the portal. Everybody was mad about a young player coming in only staying 1 year, where now we're doing it with older players, the same as one and done. Calipari said hundreds of players who entered the transfer portal this year were left without scholarships. He also said head coaches are holding on to extra scholarships just in case a transfer might be available, which means 300 to 500 high school players won't get scholarships either. His solutions allow players to transfer only once without penalty and to play only 4 years in a 5-year window. According to NCAA data, of the 1,385 Division I men's basketball players on scholarships who entered the portal last year, 262 of them were left without a scholarship at a new school. Calipari also said that the transfer portal has created age gaps between teams. Quote, "We've got 26 and 27-year-olds playing 18-year-olds, he said. Back on you, Octavia. Do you agree with John Calipari's proposed possible rule change? 3-part question. Do you think the transfer portal thing is here to stay? And do you think they need to regulate some things, man? Because that is crazy. And it is 26, 27-year-olds playing in college basketball against youngins. So what's your thoughts?
No, I mean, I agree with certain points of it. I think sometimes it still comes down to the fact that sometimes it's a good idea for these kids to transfer out, because we talk about how much coaches just up and leave in the middle of a situation, and the players don't have that same, like, I came here because you promised me X, Y, Z, And as soon as I get here, you got for a bigger offer and more money, and I'm sitting here with somebody I didn't talk to, somebody I didn't trust, and trying to figure out what I'm going to do next. So I do feel like they should regulate it in some type of ways because the transfer portal is out of control. It's definitely out of control. I don't know what the best proposed way would be. I do understand playing the 26-year-olds against 18 and 19-year-olds or whatever you want to see, but I mean, if these players want to eventually get to the league, they're going to be playing against 26 and 27-year-olds anyway. So granted, I understand that you're still in college and you're trying to still learn yourself and learn your body and learn the game, and, figure out what type of player you're going to be. But eventually they're going to have, to kind of work their way into that situation. But I definitely think something needs to be done with the transfer portal. I don't know exactly how stifling they want to be on the rules, but some of it is like low-key OD. Like, it's like just like, I don't want to be here no more, so I'm just leave. Like, I don't know if they need to put like some type of stipulation on like reasons why somebody can leave. Like, I don't feel like you just like, oh, I'm not getting a playing time here, so I'm just going to leave. Like, I don't know what it is because I just feel like it's a case by case situation so much with a lot of these different players that it's really hard to regulate. And I feel like that might be something that they run into. I do agree something needs to be done. I don't know what. I don't know if I want to take it as far as it being kind of quote unquote the one and done situation. But I can kind of see where he's coming from. I just don't know what the right answer is going to be for them to try to at least come to some type of middle ground on it. But I mean, because you look at it one way, it's like it's their lives, like this is what they want to do, and they're able to, feasibly do it. I can't really hold them that much accountable, but then we know the NCAA is kind of like God in college basketball. So, I mean, I don't really know what the next steps are going to be, but I do agree something needs to be looked at to at least regulate what's going on in the transfer portal.
Wilson.
I don't know if you could. Where we're at right now, like Octavia said, there's obviously things wrong with the current system. I don't know if you put everything back in the bag that you just let out. I think it took a perfect storm of things to get here. Players wanting the freedom that coaches have at times. Then again, it's a different type of player nowadays too. And sometimes kind of honestly just kind of be careful what you ask for. Just because folks move around doesn't mean everybody needs to move around. And just kind of similar to, sometimes we were talking recently about like, kind of like seemingly every star/superstar in the league wanting to move around or whatever. Everything's not for everybody. Just because it's available to you doesn't mean you should do it. And I think some of the players in the portal get caught up because you hit the portal, there's no coming back out. Like, the portal's supposed to have a door, right? But it doesn't have a door for everybody. Some people in the portal and that's it. And, like with the 26, 27-year-olds, like I think there's like we're seeing some of that effects like even now with the NFL, like just that class of kids that got caught up in the pandemic, like it's going to take a couple more cycles to clear all of that out, right? In sports as a whole. But yeah, I'm interested to see what they do. I just don't know how you can go about it when it's kind of always been the wild, wild west to a degree, where other things that happen is kind of like, y'all should enforce that, but the NCAA is special in the way they choose to enforce things. Very special, no matter what it is. So I don't think I have a clear-cut answer. I'm interested to see what happens, but yeah, if you're a high school kid that's fortunate enough to get a scholarship to a school, what have you, man, if it's me, I'm not leaving unless it's a tenuous situation where I have to leave. Because again, you're talking about you got the crop of JUCO kids. If you're a coach, you still got to play to win. That's why you're there. You need to get dubs. A high school kid that I'm gonna have to take some time to get ready, or somebody who's been through it a little bit already, where you can come in and kind of hit the ground running. And we've seen some of the bigger programs take transfers, and it's kind of giving them a hell of a boost. So I don't know. I'm just interested to see if they enforce it, how they go about it. But I think I don't want to say it's too late, but I'm interested to see how they could go about it first. But something does need to be done. I just don't know exactly how they would go about it.
Yeah, something needs to be done. I think it needs to stay. But you got to regulate it. You got to be more restrictive. I know people won't have sympathy for Calipari because it's Kentucky. You know what I mean? He's always had his hands in the cream of the crop of players. You see a lot of high major coaches kind of complaining about it because now it evens the playing field, so to speak. You know, some of the low major, mid major teams, they can come up quick. We saw it in the tournament, like Florida Atlantic, run they went on or whatnot. Yeah, you get some other seasoned guys with a chip on their shoulder who feel like they belong on a higher major stage, but never quite got that yeah, they gonna get at that, you know what I mean? As far as I'm saying, the 26, 27-year-olds playing against 18-year-olds, I mean, well, the majority of the players not going to get close to the pros or play in the league. So that eliminates the majority of them. And honestly, if you're still 26, 27, still playing in college, you're not good enough to make a difference anyway. So it evens out. You know what I mean? That's the reason why you're still there. You know what I mean? You just season, and you kind of like in a sense you playing the Udonis Haslam role. You just a vet. You know, you can help the youngest with the grind or whatnot. But if you're still in there at 26, 27, you know something's broken. Whether it's your talent, whether it's mental or whatnot, because you're not making the impact you should have made. Because if you did, you wouldn't be there. You know what I mean? Your eligibility be up, or you be out of there. You be playing pro somewhere. So need a hit on that. Yeah, it's. I don't trust the NCAA to handle it right, obviously, but it does need to be some new regulations on things. You gotta be more restrictive. Yeah, I understand some kids, they get into a raw deal, the coaches roll, coaches lie, they get led astray by their AAU, their peoples who point them in the direction of a program that they may have liked to play or makes their program look better on them, look better, but may not be the fit for the kid. And you know what I'm saying? And the kid gets there and realizes it's not a fit, and he looks to try to transfer or whatnot. But you know, kids got to do their research on their own and really understand what they're doing, and not get caught up in the glitz and glamour of the program. Like, really go there and do your damn homework and see, can I envision myself being a student athlete here? And if the answer is no, don't go. It ain't always about you know, glitter and gold all the damn time and trying to look good like I'm at this program and all that. It's about the program that fits you best. Because at the end of the day, if you're good enough, what I keep saying, the pros gonna find you anyway. They're in the talent find the business. So, you know, if you that dude, you gonna rise to the top anyway. It doesn't matter where you at. So, you know, we gotta keep that in mind, man. But some does need to be done. But yeah, you know, I'm not gonna act like this some hell of a crusade where they need to just stop it all together and stuff like that because you know, I don't think Calipari was tripping too much when he was getting nothing but 5 stars, like the whole top 15 and stuff, and they going to the national championship year after year. It was all good. So, nah, man, you know, it's not fun when the rabbit has, as they say. You know what I mean? So that's all it is. But definitely some regulations need to come up from this.
Yeah, I think everybody's in agreement there, and I think we're also in agreement that nobody trusts the NCAA to enforce whatever regulation someone would come up with. But we want to thank you guys for tuning in. As always, don't forget to get over to thefocustv.com. It's your best way to keep up with us, obviously, on social media as well, just the Focus TV. Tune into the Focus TV Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m., as early as 9 a.m. This weekly show is on our channel. If you have a Roku television device, all you got to do is double tap, type in the search box, the Focus TV, double tap OK on the remote, and the channel has been added. Also, you know, there's other places you guys can listen. FocusTV.com is a great place to go to find everywhere you can watch and or listen to the weekly installment of the Focus TV. For Cardell, Octavia, and myself, we'll see y'all next week.